This is the Sonus Faber Special Edition. The Sonus Faber Special Edition was Sonus Faber's previous reference loudspeaker before the introduction of the Sonus Faber Supremo, which is a 5-piece system featuring 2 towers, 2 subs, and an external crossover. What makes the Sonus Faber Special Edition quite an interesting loudspeaker is it was the first loudspeaker from Sonus Faber to utilize beryllium in the tweeter. It also uses a sandwich cone mid-range driver as well as 10-inch mid-woofers. As well as having 15-inch drivers, these speakers are entirely handmade in Vicenza, Italy. It takes hundreds of hours to build one pair of speakers. The Sonus Faber Special Edition was a limited run loudspeaker that was sold exclusively through LMC Home Entertainment. There were only 23 pair available worldwide, and LMC of North Scottsdale actually bought every pair. On the back of most of the loudspeakers, you'll actually see a special plaque that says that the speaker was sold exclusively through LMC Home Entertainment. On the back of the loudspeaker is where we will find what Sonus Faber calls the sound field shaper, which contains both an adjustable azimuth, adjustable rear firing tweeter, or is also known as the soundstage depth, as well as the deep-low level detail for the 15-inch bass driver. The adjustable azimuth is actually adjusted this way, and there are lines on the back of the speaker so it gives you the exact degree of toe. This allows to adjust the soundstage depth of the rear firing tweeter and mid-range to the back wall so that the listener can fine-tune the loudspeaker to their exact rim. Also in the back of the loudspeaker, we can see that it has 3 binding posts with crossover points at 80 Hz, 250 Hz, and 2500 Hz. So you can use a simple stereo amp to drive the loudspeakers or add additional amps to have more power control and dynamics, respectively. All of these allow this loudspeaker to easily tailor to any room for the best possible listening experience. LMC Home Entertainment is the largest hi-fi showroom in all of North America. We have a 9,500 square foot showroom featuring several multi-million-dollar stereo systems that we have on display, one of which being the Sonus Faber Supremo here behind me, which we will be discussing in a later episode. For more hi-fi news, please like and subscribe, and follow us here at LMC Home Entertainment.